what's up, you guys? So you probably noticed I changed filming locations. I don't have the canvas behind me today. That is because I am crocheting a blanket and I have way too many balls of yarn to worry about moving off the ottoman and onto the lounger and then back onto the ottoman. So I just decided that for this book haul, I was going to sit in front of the bookcase because that's where all the books are. That's where I've been piling them for the last 3 weeks. I did do another book haul at the beginning of this month, and that was about 20 books. This one is over 60. I know, that's a little insane for a month. You'll see why I accumulated so many books over this month, just with where I got them from. Because I have so many books to get through, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on these books. I'm just going to tell you title, author, if they're part of a series, and where/why I got them. Most of them are cover buys because I am a cover shopper. Covers and titles, if they speak to me, I pick them up, and most of the time I do all right. I've picked up very few books off the cover that I've been disappointed with. So, getting into the books, because there are a lot of them, over 60 of them. The first 4 I'm going to show you guys are books 5 through 8 in the Rune Lord series, which is a series that I hauled the first 4 books in my first book haul, and then I ordered the last 4 books on Thrift Books, and the 9th book, audiobook, is set to release on the 22nd of this month. So book 5 is Sons of the Oak. Book 6 is Whirlbinder. Book 7 is The Wormling Hole. And book 8 is Chaos Bound. This cover art change drives me insane. I like this cover art much better. It reminds me of Wheel of Time. I love the Wheel of Time books. If I reread them and do a series wrap-up, that video is going to be ridiculously long because I love that series so dang much. I hate this new cover art. Just gonna throw that out there. And like I said, the 9th book, the audiobook, is set to release on the 22nd of this month, which is, I'm filming this in May, so yay, so excited to get that last book and have the whole series and just be able to binge through it after this month is over. Yay. The next stack I'm going to show you guys is all the Stephen King books I accumulated this month. The first 2 I'm going to show you I accumulated for the Stephen King 2018 read-along that I am doing. It is a Goodreads group, and Binge Reader is the one that started it. I will link her channel down below, and I will link the Goodreads page for that Stephen King read-along down below. If you guys are interested in participating, go ahead and join the group. The list for the year is already in the Goodreads page. The book for this month, for May, is Firestarter, and I got that on Audible, and I am already about 3 hours into it. I still don't know how I feel about it. I like to give it till about halfway before I decide how I'm feeling about a book, so we'll see how that goes. So I did get Firestarter on Audible, and then I also got Thinner, which is the book for June? I think this is the book for June. And I got Different Seasons, which is the book for August. Night Shift is the book for July, and we already had that one, so I didn't really have to worry about that one. The next book I got by Stephen King is Needful Things, and those 3 that I just showed you I got from McKay's for really cheap. McKay's gives you a lot of store credit for what you bring in, and you get a lot for what you get out of the store credit. So that's why I've got so many books from McKay's. Next is a copy of Misery that I got out of the free book bin at one of our local libraries. They get paperbacks donated to them, or they get books donated to them that they can't take, so they put them in a box or on those little spinning displays, and you can pick them up and take them home. So that's where I got this copy of Misery. Next is the complete and uncut The Stand, and I got this one at McKay's. Read it already. I've read the audiobook on Audible, and I loved it, and I wanted the copy of it, and I'm so happy I found it in this edition, because even though it's a little beat up, that's what you get with used books, I loved this book. This is one of my top 5 from Stephen King so far. I have not yet found one to beat my number 1, but this is definitely in my top 5 for Stephen King. Next is Revival. I have the audiobook for this one also. I have not listened to it yet, and I haven't read it yet. I know this is one of his, it's not his brand new one, but I know it's one of his newer ones, and I got a sample of it on the Kindle when it first came out, and I don't know how I feel about it, so I picked up the paperback in one of the free book bins at our library, and I have the audiobook, so eventually I will get around to reading that, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to say eventually a lot in these videos, just to throw that out there, just as a disclaimer. The next 3 books I am extremely proud of, because I found these editions. I found the third one in a free book bin, and then I Googled the edition, and these editions of these books sit together in a panoramic. The first 4 sit together and the last 4 sit together and make just this beautiful panoramic picture. So, first one is The Gunslinger, The Drawing of the Three, and The Wasteland by Stephen King. Those are the first 3 books in the Dark Tower series, and if I can get them all in my hands to show them to you guys, they sit together. They sit together and look like that. So they all make one big panoramic. The first 4 do, and then Went Through the Keyhole in the last 3. I'm still looking for 4 through 7 and Went Through the Keyhole, but I will find them in these editions. I will not settle for another edition of these books because they are so pretty, and I have to have the pretty editions. Okay, next is Dr. Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining, and I didn't know when I listened to the audiobook of this book that it was the sequel to The Shining, so don't leave any hate comments. Please don't leave hate comments about me not reading The Shining before I read this, because I've seen the movie, and I know Stephen King hated the movie, but I've seen the movie. I didn't particularly care for the movie either, so I will read the book, and then I will probably reread this one after I read The Shining, but this one I got at McKay's. This one I got at McKay's. And then the last ones, the Dark Tower ones, the third one I got in a free book bin from one of the libraries, and the first 2 I got from McKay's. Next is a hardback copy of Cujo by Stephen King. This one I got in at Goodwill for $1. Doesn't have the dust jacket, obviously, but it does have his initials right there on the hardcover front. And I know this is one of his shorter ones, and I know it's about a dog that's rabid, I guess. I haven't seen the movie. I know there's a movie. I haven't seen it. Don't particularly care to, but I will get to that book eventually. The next one is huge. And it is the hardback edition of Nightmares and Dreamscapes. Look at it. It is gigantic. I think this is the biggest book we own as far as how chunky this book is. This is one of his short story collections, and this one I also got at Goodwill for $1, so yeah. I would prefer to have it in paperback though, because the paperbacks, for me, I prefer paperbacks because paperbacks are much more manageable and carryable and much lighter. This one is heavy. So if I can find it in paperback, I will be trading it in for the paperback. That glare is awful because of my window being right behind the camera. So anyways, next up in the Stephen King's is another one of his newer books, and it is Bazaar of Bad Dreams, which is one of his newer short story collections. I have the audiobook for this one. Most of these that I show you guys, like Nightmares and Dreamscapes, I have the audiobook for. This one I have the audiobook for. The Dark Tower series I have the audiobook for, The Stand, Revival. A lot of these I do have the audiobook for, so I will probably listen to them on audio, but I wanted physical copies of these books because I love Stephen King's books, and I want all the Stephen King I can get my hands on. So, anyways, Nightmares and Dreamscapes, and the last Stephen King book that I'm going to show you guys, I'm extremely proud of, and I'm extremely happy that I found, because I don't know if you can see it right up there next to that little itty-bitty paperback right above my finger is The Regulators by Richard Bachman, and I found out that it had a companion, and so I wanted it. And I wanted it in the hardback edition because when you put the hardbacks next to each other, they make a picture and it looks really cool. So I found it. I found Desperation, and this is one of the few exceptions to the rule with me and paperbacks because the hardbacks look so cool next to each other. So yeah, I got this one. Supposedly it's like a parallel universe with The Regulators. I got The Regulators a long time ago out of a garage sale. I picked it up out of one of the bins at my great-grandma's garage sale years ago when I was little, and I started reading it, and it creeped me out. And so I never finished it. And the cat just knocked something down in front of the camera. Thank you. So anyways, I got that, and I'm hoping to read, I don't know which one I should read first, so leave a comment if any of you guys know which one is best to read first. Leave a comment down below so that way I know where to start, because I'm going to have to start over with The Regulators. I have no idea where I left off, and I have no clue what's going on at this point in the story. So would be greatly appreciated if you guys would leave me a comment below telling me which one to read first and where to start. Okay. Next are all of my miscellaneous, most of them are trade paperbacks. Most of them are trade size paperbacks. And they're either like the first book in a series or just a standalone that I picked up. So, anyways, this one I picked up because of the cover at the Friends of the Library book sale that our county library just had last week. And it is called Shadowheart by James Barclay. Barclay? It says Legends of the Raven on the top, so I'm going to have to get on Goodreads and see if that is the first book in a series or if it's in the middle of a series and I just screwed myself over and I'm going to have to find the rest of the books. But yeah, the cover caught me on this one. It's black and red. It looks really pretty. It is ex-library, that's why it's so shiny, because it's covered still in the plastic, and I can't get the plastic off of the paperback, and the sides are red. It's so pretty. Anyways, so yeah, that was one of the ones I picked up at the library, Friends of the Library book sale. The next one I've heard nothing but good things about from BookTube. So, I saw it in the sale rack at Books A Million, and I had to pick it up because I've heard nothing but good things about this book on BookTube, and the cover was just really pretty. And that is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. And if I think, oh no, just a tear. But I do like that blue on black. Anyways, so I picked that up at Books A Million on the clearance rack. I think it was $6. So I was like, yeah, why not? Next one I picked up at McKay's, another series. This is the first book in another series that I have heard nothing but good things about on I'm going to want to say Goodreads, but I mean BookTube. So if I say Goodreads, I probably mean BookTube, just as a future reference. And that is Volume 1 of the Ray Area Revelations, Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan. Again, nothing but good things. Nothing but praise on BookTube. So I'm really curious to get into this. Last book haul, I hauled Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan, which is the first book in another series in the same universe that takes place like 3,000 years before this one, I think. So, again, help me out, guys. If I should read this first if I should read this, then Chronicles, and then Age of Myth, please let me know down in the comments. Or if it's okay for me to read Age of Myth first. You guys let me know the best order to read these in, because I want to get into these and I want to get to some of these books really quickly. And this is one of them that I am really excited to get to soon. So please leave a comment down below if you know what the best order to read these books in. I know a lot of people are going to say publication order, but sometimes they don't really fit. Sometimes if you go back and read them in actual order, like time-wise, then they make a little bit more sense. So please help me out in the comments with some of these books and let me know where I should start, especially with these and with Desperation and the Regulators. So far, those are the ones that I have found that I'm probably going to need your guys' help with. Next, these next 1, 2, 3, 4, these next 3 were all free book bin books. First one is Scythe by Neal Shusterman. This is going to be my first Neal Shusterman book. I've heard a lot of good things about Neal Shusterman from BookTube, so I'm excited to get into this one, but there are books that I am more excited about ahead of this one, so I will probably not get to this one right away. The next one, and I know you're going to comment, I know I'm going to get comments, this is the 3rd book in N.K. Jemison's Broken Earth trilogy, The Stone Sky. I am looking for the first 2 books. I am looking for the first 2 books. As soon as I find the first 2 books, I will have the trilogy, and I will probably binge on this trilogy as soon as I find the first 2 books. But I gotta find the first 2 books. I couldn't pass this up though because it was free. Next is Queen of the Tierling. Again, BookTube. Lots of good things. Hardly any bad things. I don't think I've heard any bad things about the Tierlings. I may have heard bad things from like 1 or 2 people, but everything else I've heard from BookTube has been amazing with these books. So had to pick that one up too. And that's the first one. So I can go ahead and start with that one before I collect the other ones. Yay. The next 2, I feel like I'm going to get some hate comments on because I am really late jumping on this bandwagon and I don't have all the books. I only have 2 of these books right now. And I feel like I'm going to get a lot of hate from Cassandra Clare fans because I am so late on this bandwagon. And the next 2 are also free book bin books. City of Ashes and Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I am looking for a specific edition of these books. I want the ones with the pretty binding. So I'm taking my time accumulating these, and I'm not going to rush into reading these. They're not high priority for me. So Cassandra Clare fans, hate all you want. I don't care. I'm not going to rush into these. They're not high priority right now. But I figured I'd give them a try because it's been so long since the movie came out, and the movie was just god-awful. And I hear the television show that they're doing is fairly good, but I don't get TV. We don't have cable, so I can't watch it. So I figured I'd try the books and just see where that takes me. And another free book bin one. I think both of these last 2 in this stack were free book bins. Bear and the Nightingale. And Arden. Again, nothing but good things on BookTube. So I'm really excited to read this one, and I am going to try to fit this into the one read-a-thon to rule them all that I'm doing right now. That started on the 29th of April and goes through the 12th of May. I will talk about that more in my April wrap-up May TBR video. The cat just knocked over a bunch of my books. So anyways, I will talk about that more in my April wrap-up May TBR video that I should be getting up to you guys by the end of this week. I know I'm a little late on that bandwagon too. Or I'm a little late on that train too. And the last book, the last trade paperback I have is Joe Hill's The Fireman. Joe Hill is one of Stephen King's sons, so I'm really interested to see what he is doing as far as his writing goes. And then I know Sleeping Beauties is another new Stephen King that he did in a collab with his other son, Owen King. Still looking for that one, but I do have the audiobook of that one on my computer, so Still looking for it though, in a physical book form. Okay, the next stack is all of my random mass market paperbacks that I've picked up. The first one is Peter Straub's Floating Dragon. I know Stephen King did a couple of collabs with Peter Straub, like The Talisman and Black House, so I really am curious about what Peter Straub does by himself and how well and how that goes. So I'm going to give him a try, and I got this one at McKay's for really cheap. Next is Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I had the audiobook for the first 2 books in the trilogy on my computer, and this one was a free book bin book that I picked up basically right after I book haul. Next one, again, Brandon Sanderson fans now, don't shoot me in the foot for this. I already know, I already shot myself in the foot. I know this is the last book, currently the last book in the Mistborn series, but I want to read the Mistborn series, so I picked it up. It was free. Don't shoot me in the foot about it, please. Please. I'm begging you. Give me a break. Midnight by Dean Koontz. Dean Koontz is another one that I'm kind of curious about. I have his books on my bookshelf. So, and I started reading 77 Shadow Street a while ago, put it down. I really want to try and get into more Dean Koontz, but he's just he's more suspense and mystery, I feel like, than Stephen King is. But we'll see where that goes and how that ends up. Next is Serpent Silver by Anthony Pierce. This was another free book bin book. This is the second book in a series, and I am still looking for the first one. I found it on Thrift Books, but I'm trying to see if I can find it elsewhere before I order it. And if I can't find it, maybe this weekend when we go to Half Price Books, then I will probably order it on Thrift Books. Another free book bin, Dragon Tales. This is a short story collection, fantasy sci-fi short story collection, edited by Isaac Asimov, and that is the only name I can pronounce, so I'm not going to butcher the other 2 names. I'm sorry. But I did read the first short story in this, and it was kind of weird. So I don't know how soon I'll get back to that. But anyways, next one, another free book bin, The Sleeping King by Cindy Dees. This is the first book in a trilogy. I did see the second book at McKay's, but I didn't pick it up yet because I want to see how I like the first book before I get the second book. So most of these mass market paperbacks, it's going to be a while before I get to, because they're not really high priority right now. I'll get to the high priority one here in a minute, I promise. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more stacks of books to get through, and I separated them by series or author, so we're getting there. I promise. Next up is Stardust by Neil Gaiman, another free book bin book. I've read his Norse mythology book, and I really liked it, and I was really happy that we read it, we audiobooked it before the new God of War game came out, because I felt like it gave us a lot more background on the Norse gods and how the Norse mythology actually works. So I was really happy that we got through that before the new God of War game came out. And the new God of War game is amazing. If you have a PS4, go get it. Go play it. It is awesome, and it is beautiful. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but you will drop your controller when you finish the game. At the end of the main story, you will drop your controller. My husband did. And I was sitting right next to him, and I almost dropped my book. Last mass market paperback random book is Dragon Teeth by Michael Crichton. Picked this up for my husband because he is more of a dinosaur fan than I am, and so he was like, yeah, I'll try it. Sure, why not? Okay, next 4 are our quartet by Tamara Pierce. It is the Song of the Lioness Quartet, and we have Alana, the First Adventure, In the Hand of the Goddess, The Woman Who Rides Like a Man, and Lioness Rampant, all by Tamara Pierce. I've heard a lot of good things about Tamara Pierce's books on Goodreads and BookTube, so I figured I'd pick those up. I got those each for $1 at Goodwill, so I just was like, why not? The whole quartet's here. They're $1 each. I'll pick them up. The next three are a trilogy by J.V. Jones. The first one is Baker's Boy, and it is the first book in the Book of Words trilogy. The second one is A Man Betrayed. And the third one is Master and Fool. It does bother me that the second and third one I got at the library book sale, and they are huge. They are the trade paperback size, and this one is a mass market. And I got this one at McKay's. It does bother me that they are a different size, but at this point, I'm not going to complain. I have the whole trilogy. I can binge on them when I want to. Okay, the next two I'm going to show you are the first two books in the Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne, and they are Malice and Valor. Malice is high priority for me right now. I am trying desperately to finish Brotherhood of the Wolf, which is the second book in the Rune Lord series, and then as soon as the read-a-thon is over, as soon as the one read-a-thon is over, I am picking up this book. This book I am so freaking excited to start because look at the cover and look at the typography for the font for the title. It is beautiful, and I am so freaking excited, and I cannot stop thinking about this book and this series, and I really, 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 really want to get to it this month. So, those are my high priority books. The next two, again, I'm a little late jumping on the bandwagon, are the first two books in the Red Rising trilogy by Pierce Brown. I have Red Rising and The Golden Sun. And Red Rising I got in one of the free book bins. Golden Sun I got at Ollie's for $3. So, yay, cheap books. Okay, the next three, again, late to the party. I know. Leigh Bardugo. The first two books in her Grisha trilogy, Shadow and Bone and Siege and Storm. And the first book in the Six of Crows duology, Six of Crows. Another one you need to help me out on, guys. Do I need to read the Grisha trilogy before I read the Six of Crows duology, or can I read them in either order? Being Grisha, then Six, or Six, then Grisha. Help me out. Because I don't know. Okay, next pile is going to be my Terry Goodkind books. I have been on and off with myself about reading this series, and I got like 5 of them that I have from the free book bin at the library, so I figured, you know what, why not? I'll pick up the first couple of books from McKay's next time we go if I can find them, and I'll start reading the series eventually. So it's the Sword of Truth series, and I'm regretting deciding to read these a little bit because they are all fairly chunky until you get down to the latter half of the series, and this is a long series. So the first book is Wizard's First Rule, and the second book is Stone of Tears. Those two I got from McKay's. The third book, the rest of these books that I got in this series, I got in the free book bin at the library. I got book 3, Blood of the Full, book 4, Temple of the Winds, book 7, I know, I'm missing 5 and 6, I will get them when I get there, and I know this one is really torn up, but it was a free book, so, boo. Book 7, Pillars of Creation, or book 7, Pillars of Creation, book 8, Naked Empire, and book 9, Chainfire. If I like the series, then I will fill in the gaps. If not, then I'm going to unhaul all the books in this series and find something else to read. But I do have the first 4, so that is a good start for me to have the first 4. And finally, we are down to the last stack. Thank God. Now, this is an author that I was curious about and I didn't know where to start, so I messaged one of the booktubers that I follow. His name's Connor, and I will link his channel down below also. And I messaged him and I said, I'm curious about Cinda Williams-Chima. Where should I start? Where's the best place to start with all of her books? Because I know they're all set in the same world, but I didn't know if there was a specific order that you should read them in. So he messages me back, and he says, start with The Demon King and the Seven Realms series. So I've got The Demon King from Books A Million. Then the next two books in the series I got from the Friends of the Library book sale. Seven Realms Book 2, The Exiled Queen, and Book 3, The Grey Wolf Throne. And then Book 4, Book 2 I got from the Friends of the Library. Book 3 and 4 I also got from Books A Million. So, and then Book 4 is Crimson Crown. Then I also got the first book in another one of her series. I got Flamecaster, which is the first book in the Shattered Realms series. And then I got the Warrior Heir, which is the first book in the Heir Chronicles, and the Dragon Heir, which is book 3 in the Heir Chronicles. I will look for book 2. At some point in my life, I will find book 2 when I get around to reading those. Okay, I know this was a really long video for you guys. Thank you for sitting through it. If you did, if you didn't, bye. Anyways, if you guys want to know any more about these books, any of these books that I showed you guys, please leave me a comment down below and I will try to get them read as soon as I possibly can. I'm going to be slowing way down on book hauling over the next few months because my husband just got his reassignment packet and we found out we have to move to Georgia. So I really, really, really need to slow down on book hauling. So it's going to be, hopefully next month, if I have a book haul, it is going to be a very small book haul and it won't be this long again. So anyways, like I said, if you guys want to know anything more about any of these books that I talked about, leave a comment down below and I will try to get them read as soon as I possibly can. You can also, if you don't want to just leave a comment, I will link my Goodreads page down below and you can hit me up on Goodreads with a private message. And then I will leave Connor's channel linked, I will leave Binge Reader's channel linked, and I will leave the Stephen King Read Along Goodreads channel linked. So, until next time, thanks a bunch!